Welcome to Inside Parallax. I am Tony.
I am Doc.
We are here. We're going to be talking a little bit about lights, the importance of lights. We're going to be talking about PID, but going into it a little bit more depth of the idea of our backgrounds. So for me personally, I am from the security world. I've done some bail bond stuff, so I can definitely say working some night operations for security, the lights are very important.
So I'm a combat medic for the Army. I've been deployed to Afghanistan in combat, so I have more of like that tactical deployed overseas setting. I can talk forever about lights.
So going into the light conversation, the first thing I do want to talk about is PID. For security work, what we're doing, especially if we're going for bail bonds, PID was the biggest thing, especially if we're doing night ops. Last thing we want to do is cuff somebody that doesn't need to be cuffed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, most of the countries that I've been to, they're like third world. So there's tons of places that don't really have lighting. You know, they don't have electricity. So having lights to positively identify everybody based on biometrics or intel that we have is also key. Because as far as like lights, they do a lot more than just positive ID. But yeah, positive ID is a big thing, you know, and also signaling as well. Because whenever we're stacking up on doors and stuff, either IR or white light, right? Because it's just lights and, like, you know, conversations lights in general. You can use lights without talking. You know, it's so
Right.
easy to just flip onto an IR light and just flash it a couple times, right? Like, hey, one is yes, two is no. Like,
Whenever the ops that I've been on for bail bonds, I mean, there were a couple times where we did have to flash our IR because we're wearing nods, you know. Looking at the lights, and so what is the most important aspect to a light? Is it the candela? Is it the lumens?
it really depends on what you're trying to do. And like me personally, I like to have candela. I like to have this bright hot spot on something, but I also like a little bit of flood, you know, lumens, right, around, so that I can, you know, have a peripheral of my surroundings. So things like a Surefire X300, that's like the industry standard for, you know, the candela, because it's got 60,000 candela, I want to say. But another third topic, right, besides the positive identification and signaling, is concealment. Lights, concealment, that makes no sense, right? Well, go back to the deer in the headlights, right? Why does a deer freeze in the middle of the street whenever there's bright headlights at them? Well, it's because you're disrupting their OODA loop, right? Their observe, orient, decide, act, right? Right. And that just, again, you know, goes back to the whole "what are you doing" type thing,
Right,
you know?
exactly.
And that's a perfect reason why, you know. For, you know, the flood and the throw, hey man, I can see really far out, and then the flood, I can see in a wider array. I can see my surroundings, so I can get a better picture, you know. And for, you know, for your civilian security, whatnot, and doing, you know, going after people for their bail bonds and everything like that, you don't know what you're walking into. If you're going into their house, you know, we were playing Ready or Not, and the house was in shambles, you know, like, and there was some walls destroyed that lead into other rooms. You don't know what you're walking into, so having that type of flood would be perfect.
Let's just say you enter a room in a stack. You're done completely. You cleared it out. What are you trained to do first? Because I'll tell you exactly what I do. A lot of the times is after we're in there, we make sure that the room is clear. We're putting our lights straight up in the air. You know, signaling we're done with what we're doing.
So, being deployed, if we were using lights, then yeah, we would do the exact same thing. And the reason why is umbrella lighting. We went to a lot of buildings that were either mud huts, didn't have electricity, right? Or even just training, where we just turn off all the lights and like, hey boys, complete blackout, you know? And at the end of clearing a room, at the end of a glass house or a shoot house, right? Lights go up, you know, and it creates like that umbrella, and it lights up the whole entire room. All right, who's got the brightest light? If we were doing lights and lasers, like with our PECs, and we had both on at the same time, we actually did a convergence point. So depending on what type of room, left, right, center fed, you know, if it was a center fed room, well, we would, you know, do our 4-man stack, go around the edge of the room, so we're out of the fatal funnel, and then the lights would converge into the middle.
How about price? Do you think price on lights is a big topic? Do you have to have the Gucciest scout light on your rifle?
So, I mean, so on my rifle, I have a Frankenstein light, so I really can't talk much on that. But as far as like my X300, yeah, I mean, I got it for like $200, dealer pricing. And then the Streamlight TLR1, that's a pretty good one as well. That's like, the second best. But, you go too cheap, you get what you pay for. Research is a big part of it too, and like what you're okay with spending with. But I think me personally, the 300 and the TLR1 industry standards.
So how often did you see guys in the field ND their light?
Oh, all the time, man. And again, it was either like sometimes the connections for because again, the remote switches weren't all that good. It's not like we have these Mod Light remote switches. We had to rely on the Surefire pressure switches, which they weren't really like fresh out the box. They were great, but they were also super sensitive too. So like over time, the components, you keep clicking it. We didn't really have like Picatinny attachments for them or anything. So we had to electrical tape them to the vert grip if we didn't have the broom handle like you have, like where it's the vert grip and the light put together. So we had to get creative. Technology too is like come so far.
Like the mod buttons, just having it compact, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So like for me, I have mine kind of in line with my, like right on top of my vertical grip. So whenever I'm gripping it, right, my thumb isn't on it, so I don't ND. But whenever I want to use it, all I have to do is just thumb back, momentary, and then switch back.
The other thing I did want to talk about too is filters, light filters.
Yeah, so I mean, even that too, the vampires weren't really a thing.
Right.
Back then. So what we had for our M95s is we had the light filters, and it was just a little enclosed capsulated system that just slipped right onto the light head, and it had just a little, almost like a light cap, like 100 Concepts, but it was see-through, and it had like a purple film on it, and it would dampen the light to where it would be, near IR level. But yeah, back in the day, like you put the IR cap on, that IR cap is getting the full like 300 to 400 lumens of that Surefire, and just like nods over time. You keep using it, it's just gonna burn a hole right through it. So the next thing you know, you put that cap on, and it's just like nothing happened, nothing changed, and you're like, what the crap.
Thank you guys for watching this video. We are going to be having lots more of content being out there. We're going to have a bunch of different topics that we're going to be going over. So check out inside_parallax on Instagram. Not only that, we do have a Discord now. So go ahead and go check out the Discord. The links will be in the YouTube description as well as on Instagram. That's pretty much going to go over gear, tactics, some gunsmithing. I say gunsmithing very loosely. It's more of just us building rifles and dope shit. You know what I mean? Media content, product deals. I'll be going to be posting up some deals that I find on the Engel list that I'm on, and just stuff like that. We also do have a training aid, like you mentioned, Ready or Not. If you guys just want to come in, we'll just practice very loosely communication and stuff like that on video games, and kind of go from there. I think it's a big aid when you're doing stuff like that as well. So go check that out. Everything that is involved with the channel, there's some big things coming, so definitely stay tuned. I appreciate it.
Left center.